the ʻɡrɛɪv accent is a diacritical mark used in many written languages, including Breton, Catalan, Corsican, Dutch, French, Greek, Haitian Creole, Italian, Macedonian, Mohawk, Norwegian, Occitan, Portuguese, Ligurian, Scottish Gaelic, Vietnamese, Welsh, Romansh and Yoruba. Uses: pitch, Greek. The ʻɡrɛɪv accent was first used in the polytonic orthography of ancient Greek to mark a lower pitch than the high pitch of the acute accent. In modern practice, it is used to replace an acute accent in the last syllable of a word when the word is followed immediately by another word in the sentence. The ʻɡrɛɪv and circumflex have been replaced with an acute accent in the modern monotonic orthography. Stress: the ʻɡrɛɪv accent marks the stressed vowels of words in Maltese, Catalan and Italian. A general rule is that in Italian, words ending with stressed I, O, or U must be marked with a ʻɡrɛɪv accent. Words ending with stressed E may bear either an acute accent or a ʻɡrɛɪv accent, depending on whether the final E sound is closed or open, respectively. Some examples of words with a final ʻɡrɛɪv accent are sitter, mora, verta to the first, missa, and porta squared. A typist using a keyboard without accented characters who is unfamiliar with input methods for typing accented letters will sometimes use a separate backtick or even an apostrophe instead of the proper accent, though this is an error. This is especially common when typing capital letters, thus E or A unregistered trademark instead of A. Other mistakes arise from the misunderstanding of truncated and elided words, for example, the phrase unpo unregistered trademark, which is the truncated version of unpico, is infrequently spelled as unpa squared. In Italian there are many pairs of words, one with an accent marked and the other not, with different pronunciation and meaning, such as pero and pira squared, and papa and papa. The last example is also valid for Catalan. In Bulgarian and Macedonian, the ʻɡrɛɪv accent is used on the vowels th degree, th three-quarters, n florin, th micron, th and nsh to mark stress. It is particularly used in books for children or foreigners, or to distinguish between near homophones, th degree I euro n euro th degree and th degree n euro th degree I euro, th squared nsh I euro th 1/2 th degree and th squared nsh th 1/2 th degree I euro. In a few cases, the stress mark is orthographically required to distinguish words which are homonyms. For example, the Macedonian negation particle th 1/2 th micron is a homonym with the short form of the direct object personal pronoun th 1/2 ea euro, thus th 1/2 n. The ʻɡrɛɪv in these cases forces the stress on the accented word syllable, instead of having a different syllable in the stress group get accented. In turn, this changes the pronunciation and the whole meaning of the group. In Ukrainian, Rusyne, Belarusian and Russian, a similar system was in use until the first half of the 20th century. Now the main stress is preferably marked with an acute, and the role of ʻɡrɛɪv is limited to marking secondary stress in compound words. In the descendants of Serbo-Croatian and in Slovene, the stressed syllable can be short or long, as well as having rising or falling tone. To show this, these languages use 4 different stress marks. The system is identical both in Latin and Cyrillic scripts. In modern Church Slavonic, there are 3 stress marks. There is no phonetical distinction between them, only the orthographical one. ʻɡrɛɪv is typically used when the stressed vowel is the last letter of a multi-letter word. In Ligurian, the ʻɡrɛɪv accent marks the accented short vowel of a word in a and to the first. In the case of squared, it is used for the short sound of o, but it may not be the stressed vowel of the word. Height: the ʻɡrɛɪv accent marks the height or openness of the vowels e and o, indicating that they are pronounced open, a, e. Squared, e. In several Roman languages, Catalan uses the accent on 3 letters. French uses the accent on 3 letters, but only with e. Does it serve to indicate a pronunciation change? For example, the accent mark in leve, li micron v, indicates that it is not pronounced as a schwa, like in lever, la unregistered trademark v. Italian, Occitan, Ligurian, which also uses the ๊ɡreɪv accent to distinguish the sound o, written as squared, from the sound u, written cubed. Disambiguation. The ๊ɡreɪv accent is used to distinguish homophones in several languages. Catalan, where it distinguishes, for example, ma from ma. French. The ๊ɡreɪv accent on the letters a and u has no effect on pronunciation and only serves to distinguish homonyms that are otherwise spelled the same. It distinguishes the preposition a from the verb a, as well as the adverb la and the feminine definite article la. It is also used in the words da copyright jar, d picavolt, the phrase a picavolt de la and its functional synonym d picavolt, della. It is used on the letter u only to distinguish o to the first and u. A is rarely used to distinguish homonyms, except in das des, as is, and las lay. Italian, where it distinguishes for example the conjunction e from the verb a, or the feminine article la from the adverb la. In Norwegian, the ๊ɡreɪv accent is used to separate words which would otherwise be identical, for instance og and us squared g. Popular usage, possibly because Norwegian rarely uses diacritics, often leads to a ๊ɡreɪv accent being used in place of an acute accent. Romansh, where it distinguishes e from the verb form a and n from an. The ๊ɡreɪv also marks distinctions of stress and of vowel quality. Length. In Welsh, the accent is used to denote a short vowel sound in a word which would otherwise be pronounced with a long vowel sound, for example marg, mesh mug, versus mwg, mew, smoke. In Scottish Gaelic, it denotes a long vowel. The use of acute accents to denote the rarer close long vowels, leaving the ๊ɡreɪv accents for the open long ones, is seen in older texts, but is no longer allowed according to the new orthographical conventions. Tone. In some tonal languages such as Vietnamese and Mandarin Chinese, the ๊ɡreɪv accent is used to indicate a falling tone. The alternative to the ๊ɡreɪv accent in Mandarin is the numeral 4 after the syllable, pa equals pa 4. In African languages, the ๊ɡreɪv accent is often used to indicate a low tone, for example nobi and jar kkar, Yoruba gba a euro-n, Hausa ma ka. The ๊ɡreɪv accent is used to represent the low tone in Canyon ka copyright Han or Mohawk. Other uses. In Portuguese, the ๊ɡreɪv accent indicates the contraction of two consecutive vowels in adjacent words. For example, instead of a kalahura, one says and writes a kalahora. In Hawaiian, the ๊ɡreɪv accent is sometimes encountered as a typographically easier substitute for the eokina, for example Hawaii instead of Hawaii. English. The ๊ɡreɪv accent, although not commonly applied to any English words, is sometimes used in poetry and song lyrics to indicate that a vowel usually silent is to be pronounced, in order to fit the rhythm or meter. Most often, it is applied to a word ending with ed. For instance, the word looked is usually pronounced as a single syllable, with the e silent. When written as looked, the e is pronounced, looked. It can also be used in this capacity to distinguish certain pairs of identically spelled words like the past tense of learn, learned, from the adjective learned. Italics, with appropriate accents, are generally applied to foreign terms that are uncommonly used in or have not been assimilated into English, for example, vis-à-vis, PSA de la copyright assistance and crami bra la copyright e. The layout of some European PC keyboards combined with problematic keyboard driver semantics causes many users to use a ๊ɡreɪv accent or an acute accent instead of an apostrophe when typing in English. Technical notes: the ISO 8859-1 character encoding includes the letters a, r squared, r to the first, and their respective capital forms. Dozens more letters with the ๊ɡreɪv accent are available in Unicode. In the ASCII character set, the ๊ɡreɪv accent is encoded as character 96, hex 60. Unicode also provides the ๊ɡreɪv accent as a combining character, encoded as 768, hex 300. Outside the US, character 96 is often replaced by accented letters. In the French ISO 646 standard, the character at this position is a micron. Many older UK computers, such as the ZX Spectrum and BBC Micro, have the £, symbol as character 96, though the British ISO 646 variant ultimately placed the symbol at position 35 instead. On many computer keyboards, the ๊ɡrɛɪv accent occupies a key by itself, and is meant to be combined with vowels as a multi-key combination or as a dead key to modify the following letter. On a Mac, to get a character such as a, the user must type Option and then the vowel. For example, to make a, the user must type Option and then A, and to make a euro, the user must type Option and then Shift A. On a system running the X Windows system, to get a character such as a, the user should press Compose, then the vowel. The Compose key on modern keyboards is usually mapped to a Windows key or Shift plus Alt-GR. On a US and UK QW or TY keyboard, the ๊ɡrɛɪv accent key is placed in the top left corner. In many PC-based computer games, the key is used to open the console window, allowing the user to execute commands via a CLI. On a CZ kits, the ๊ɡrɛɪv accent key is usually mapped to Alt-GR plus a 1/2. Use in programming, programmers have used the ๊ɡrɛɪv accent symbol as a separate character for a number of tasks. In this role, it is known as a backquote or backtick. When using text-to-typeset text, the backtick character is used as a syntax to represent curly opening quotes. For example, is rendered a single opening curly quote and is a double curly opening quote. It is also used for supplying the numeric ASCII value of an ASCII character wherever a number is expected. Many of the Unix shells in the programming languages Perl, PHP, and Ruby use pairs of this character to indicate command substitution, that is, substitution of the standard output from one command into a line of text defining another command. For example, the code line "echo it is now date" might result, after command substitution, in the command "echo it is now Friday, August 15, 21:40:38 GMT 2014. Which then on execution produces the output. It is now Friday, August 15, 21:40:38 GMT 2014. It is sometimes used in source code comments to indicate code, for example. Use the printf function. This is also the format used by the Markdown formatter to indicate code. Some variations of Markdown support fenced code blocks that span multiple lines of code, starting with 3 backticks in a row. In the Bash shell, the A-euro syntax is not recommended by style guides, and the alternative syntax $, is preferred because it is more readable, especially for nested expressions. The same is true of Z shell. In BBC Basic, the backquote character is valid at the beginning of or within a variable, structure, procedure or function name. In D and Go, the backquote is used to surround a raw string literal. In Haskell, surrounding a function name by backquotes allows it to be used as an infix operator. In Lisp macro systems, the backquote character introduces a quoted expression in which comma substitution may occur. It is identical to the plain quote, except that symbols prefixed with a comma will be replaced with those symbols' values as variables. This is roughly analogous to the Unix shell's variable interpolation with $ inside double quotes. In M4, it is used together with an apostrophe to quote strings. In MySQL, it is used in queries as a column, table and database classifier. In OCaml, the backquote is used to indicate polymorphic variants. In Pico, the backquote is used to indicate comments in the programming language. Prior to Python 3.0, backticks were used as a synonym for the REPR function, which converts its argument to a string suitable for a programmer to view. However, this feature was removed in Python 3.0. Backticks are also used extensively in the restructured text plain text markup language. Windows PowerShell uses the backquote as the escape character. For example, a newline character is denoted N. Most commonly used programming languages use a backslash as the escape character, but because Windows allows the backslash as a path separator, it would have been impractical for PowerShell to use backslash for a different purpose. To get the character itself, 2 backticks are used. For example, the nullable boolean of .NET is specified in PowerShell as nullable 1, system boolean. In Tom, the backquote is used to create a new term or to call an existing term. In Scala, an identifier may also be formed by an arbitrary string between backquotes. The identifier then is composed of all characters excluding the backquotes themselves. In unlambda, the backquote character denotes function application. See also, acute accent, circumflex, diacritic, double grave accent, references. External links, the dictionary definition of ʻGreɪv, the dictionary definition of ʻGreɪv, diacritics project all you need to design a font with correct accents, ASCII and Unicode quotation marks please do not use the ASCII grave accent as a left quotation mark. Keyboard help learn how to create world language accent marks and other diacriticals on a computer.